किया था हमने.
Yeah, and we are live for the biggest game in the Premier League history. It is Liverpool versus Manchester City, and I'm so pleased to have Bhargav and Yuva Shankar representing Man City. I have Rishikesh and Abhishek from the Supporters Club. And It's the biggest game of the season, guys. It's the biggest game of the season. A 6 point lead that Klopp's men hold over Pep's army, Blue Army, and you can say that this is the game of the season. All eyes on Sunday, the 10 p.m. kickoff. A win for Liverpool means that they go 9 points clear at the top. A win for City means they reduce the gap to three, and a draw is a win-win for Liverpool because they maintain that 6 point gap. So let's start with Bhargav, and let's get your thoughts, Bhargav, on the injury list first. That is a concerning issue for Pep.
Yeah, obviously, the short-term injury that happened in the Atlanta game was that of Ederson going off at halftime. It's a muscular injury as per the medical team at City. So he's ruled out of the clash, and that is a massive blow, obviously, in the goalkeeping department. Not that Bravo isn't a good keeper, but then Ederson is obviously, on another level. And he only adds to the growing list of injuries, in the form of the long-term injuries that we've already had. Sane, Laporte, Rodri, and club captain David Silva. So I think the injuries would affect, because obviously you need all your best players fit and firing for the biggest game of the season. And now Pep has to manage his resources, whatever he has at his disposal, to put the best team forward so that they can ultimately procure a result.
Fair points, Bhargav. Fair points, and those injuries have taken a toll on the team, but they have responded. And let's get Abhishek's thoughts on the injury and some absentees in the Liverpool lineup. Abhishek, if you can take the viewers through that.
Sure, Prasad. So only Matip is injured, so that's the major injury concern for us. But Lovren will play with Van Dijk, and Shaqiri is also a long-term absentee now. But we have, decent squad depth in that department as well. So no need to worry. So our predicted lineup will be, I believe, Allison in goal, then Van Dijk, Lovren, Arnold, Robertson. In midfield, Fabinho, Henderson, and Wijnaldum will play. Klopp will, always rotate Oxlade, Chamberlain, and Keita in Champions League games. But Ox has scored four goals in last four games. So it's a big boost for us. And then usual front three. So yeah, that will be our predicted lineup.
So that's the predicted lineup that Liverpool might field tomorrow. And Yuva Shankar, let's get you on the microphone and let's hear what predicted lineup you feel might be Pep mind for tomorrow's game, considering that it's the biggest game for City tomorrow.
So let's talk about the motive that we'll be having in tomorrow's game. That is to, somehow break the high pressing tactic of Liverpool. So in order to do that, I think we'll be so basically because Ederson's out, we'll be having Bravo at the back at the goal post, and then further on we'll be having Angelino on the left and probably Cancelo on the right because I like how Angelino is trying to fill the gap of Zichenko, and the centre backs will be mostly Fernandinho and John Stones because right now they are the only backers we have. Moving on to the CDM position, I think we will be having Gundogan because I think he's a key party in connecting the midfield. And moving further to the attacking side of the midfield, I think we should be having uh, Kevin De Bruyne, and on the other side, I hopefully see Phil Foden play. And The key thing is that we need Kevin De Bruyne to, when the wingers pull down the fullbacks, we need Kevin De Bruyne to push in and get a cross into the box. So I think he will be a key player during the coming game. And moving on, I think up front we will be having Sterling on the left, who's been a massive performer, and I hopefully see him score. And on the center, I think we will have Aguero, and on the right we will definitely have Bernardo Silva with his dribbling skills and all that. So yeah, that's it.
Bhargav, before I come back to you, let me direct my question first to Rishikesh. And Rishikesh, Klopp spoken about on the monstrous mentality thing, the monster mentality of coming back to have the answer to the adversity going down a goal at Aston Villa. Uh, let's have your thoughts on that game, by the way, and how crucial was it to maintain that 6 point gap over Pep's Man City?
So what is happening right now? This like we have gone one goal down in many games in last few months, and I guess Abhishek will agree with me on this point that we've never felt uncomfortable with that. We've always been confident that in second half we will come back and we will get the win, and that has been the transition that we have seen in last 1.5 2 years that Klopp has instilled in our team. And winning the game against City is very important. And I know it sounds very like it's a stupid statement to give this early on in the season, but I think if we win against City, we will win the Premier League definitely, because that will give us a huge mentality boost, and it will help us to win more games, tough games against big top six opponents, and at the same time it will pressurize City, and they have some difficult fixtures coming up in December. They have to face Leicester, they have to face Chelsea, so that will be tough for them if they lose against us on Sunday.
All right, Rishikesh, fair points. Bhargav, let's direct that. Let's continue where Rishikesh left. Do you think a win for Liverpool calls for curtains in November itself?
Yeah, I mean, there have been talks, that last time in the last season we did go 8 points behind, Liverpool, who were also leading at the time, and people thought that it was it's going to be done and dusted, and then somehow after that victory at the Etihad Stadium, the 2-1, and the equation was simple. City had to win all their games and not slip up once, and that's exactly what happened ultimately with City winning the league by 1 point. So definitely, I mean, you need to be pragmatic at times as well, and you do realize that 9 points is quite, it's quite an unanswerable lead that Liverpool are going to have, and it's going to give them a lot of confidence. That's the most important part. I mean, with this fixture, they've already played a big chunk of their top six games, and City obviously they're going to close one more chapter, and then when they go into December, they're obviously going to play other games, but then league games is something that they can sustain bar a miraculous collapse from their side. But definitely the onus is going to be on us to cut down the lead tomorrow. We are playing catch up. It's not a position that we're used to. But then yes, it's definitely an important part going into tomorrow's game. It will play on the minds of both teams. Liverpool trying to keep it, making a more sustainable approach, and City obviously trying to get the pressure on, procure the positive result, which is 3 points tomorrow. So obviously, yeah, it's obviously going to be a major factor.
Fair enough. Abhishek, let's talk about Sane's absence there. And Sane's absence might be like a boost for Liverpool. Do you think so? How much of a big miss is he going to play? Like, how much is that going to boost you all?
It's a massive boost, to be frank, because he always used to score against us. So he has scored 4 goals in last 4 games against Liverpool. So yeah, our fullbacks can bombard forward since Sane is not there, because he's that pacey winger. So once any pacey winger of Sane's quality is there in your team, then fullbacks Robertson and Ta, so they can't go forward like they used to go. So they have to stick with Sane as well. So since he's missing now, Ta can go forward a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's a big boost for us.
Are you sure you're going to go with Foden? Like I've in my recent things I've seen David Silva rested. David Silva be a little more experienced option to start there in the mid for this big fixture?
But it's yeah. So like I said before, I think David just faced a recent injury, right? So I strongly believe Pep wouldn't play him initially, or at least I think he would play him initially first, and then pull him out and then play Foden in. So I think Foden's fire that he has for a club will be key to winning the FA Cup. Anfield is a very tough stadium to play with because I mean it's really difficult to win there for any club. So I think the really passionate players are ones we need in order to play for the fixture coming up.
Well, Bhargav, Aguero not scoring at Anfield, does that play on the back of the mind of the manager? And would you prefer starting Jesus over Aguero, or would both of them start tomorrow?
Yeah, Prasad, that's actually an interesting point that you're making over here because Pep in his one of his recent press conferences spoke highly about Jesus's pressing ability. Apparently, he believes that Jesus is the best striker in the world as far as pressing displays go. I mean, he's running all over the pitch, making the right type of movements, and he's constantly onto the defenders, giving them a tough time. But even though Aguero does not have a particularly prolific, goal scoring record at Anfield, you just cannot discount him out of such a big game because there is another stat that you can pull up and check where Aguero is one of the best strikers, if not the best strikers, in a top six match. He literally has a lot of goals more than any current crop of strikers that are reigning in the Premier League as of now. So the impact that he's trying to make, and I sense that he's going to try to pick on the weaker side of the defense, which is the centre back position of Lovren. I mean, obviously, Virgil van Dijk against Aguero, and we'll obviously be talking about that later as a key battle. He might not prefer to go that side. He might focus all his movements towards the side of Lovren and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So any spaces that's left behind on that left flank, probably Sterling and Aguero are going to combine, and that is the movement that he offers. And one more thing about Aguero is that he also does come deep to fetch balls if he is not getting any kind of service up front. So he's a player who can stretch back a little bit, press the play over there, then receive the ball and then bomb forward. So definitely, I mean, if Liverpool is are going to think that Aguero is not going to create any impact, they only need to refer the game that happened at the Etihad last time around, where he from a very tight angle he just picked up the ball and blazed it past Alisson. So that is something that can happen at Anfield. I mean, anything.
Yeah, perfect. Fair enough point, guys. And that's been a wonderful conversation there on the injuries, the lineups, predicted lineups, the tactics, what what you all expect. But there's one more thing that we need to do before we sign off, and that is the predictions, because we naturally tend to sometimes come back in the review to these predictions, and it's just like, let's start with Abhishek here. Let's start with Abhishek. Let's go to Rishikesh, then let's go to Yuva, and then let's end it with Bhargav. So Abhishek, let's start with your predictions for tomorrow. For
I believe
Sunday.
it will be a close contest, but since it's at Anfield, so we have a home advantage, and I think we'll win 2-1.
Abhishek says 2-1.
My prediction is 3-1 Liverpool.
Straight off. You are.
My prediction is actually both of them would try to play as safe as possible because we have seen that in I think the previous second fixture that they faced against each other. Both are trying to play really safe. So I think it'll be a close 1-0 in favor of us. Yeah.
Close 1-0. That's a difference.
One.
Bhargav, no one's predicted a draw, by the way.
Yeah, Prasad, it just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that because the last time we played them at Anfield, it ended 0-0, which is surprising fact because these are the top two goal scoring teams in the league, and I think that's a similar thing that's going to happen tomorrow as well. Pep said in his conference today that when I was at Bayern Munich, I played a defensive game and I won 3-0 against Klopp's Dortmund. So I think he's going to go with a similar setup tomorrow. Something not very defensive, but where you can catch them on the break. So I think I'm going for a one all draw for tomorrow's game.
One all
I just
draw.
have
Yeah.
one. So, do
Yeah.
you think your defense is reliable to pull off that draw? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, see, there have been stranger things. I mean, last time, a partnership of Company and Stones were not relied upon to, pull off a draw, but then we pulled off a win. And you would probably remember Stones' goal line clearance millimeters away from, you clinching the title. But
That happens
for
in every game.
Yeah, exactly. So Fernandinho and Stones, I think, yeah, you do have a point there. Stones is just getting back into the full fitness mode, and then Fernandinho is a makeshift person at the back. But then I think the intelligence of the fullbacks is going to come into question tomorrow. And since they are naturals, like Yuva said, Angelino at left back, and I would go for Walker instead of Cancelo because of his defensive abilities. I think if those four, along with the help of Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne, if they put in a good defensive shift, I think that converted back six might probably be enough to mitigate the attacks that the Liverpool front three and the likes of Wijnaldum and Henderson would like to provide.
And don't forget the time when Gabriel Jesus, passed Van Dijk in a very awesome form. So I just want to add that. Yeah, thank you.
So great thoughts, guys, and we are hoping for a cracking game on Sunday. It's at Anfield. Their 12th man. We all saw what happened to Barcelona there, and we all saw what happens to teams over there for the past couple of years. Two teams with monster mentalities, as their managers call them. We have seen them on the field. They are a level above the rest in the Premier League so far. They are the two best teams in the world. Period. Face off, and what could be like the Premier League decider. Not exactly in November, but the point gap could show for. So a win for Liverpool means they go 9 points clear. A win for City cuts that gap down to 3. A draw keeps Liverpool still 6 points ahead in the Premier League. As for this episode as goes, I thank you so much, guys, for your time, and that was some great tactical analysis that we've done, and that's some serious insights and some a little bit of banter which we enjoy. I hope you will have a great game, and let's hope we see you guys next time again on the Panenka View podcast. This is host Prasad signing out tonight. Good night.
Yeah, thank you.